All right, guys, I'm going to try to do this so it's easier for everybody. I'll send the pictures too. So this chapter, pivot party versus pity party. I think we'll start every chapter off with a quote, and then each set of the chapter with a quote as well. So pity party versus pivot party. Your attachment to the past has to be less important than your commitment to the future, okay? And underneath that, we're gonna have opportunity over obstacle. We switch gears, not embrace fears. This section is all about execution over excuses, pouring in versus poor me. Next section is better over bitter. Persistence will always close the distance. Keep going. Your self-esteem, meaning motivation, is so much more important than your self-esteem at this point. You got to get out of your head and stay on track and keep going, you know. This subsection, data over drama. Quote, up your game, never spread the blame. Smiles over spirals. So, and this section is all about taking ownership in your part of the problem and then looking at ways to fix it. So smiles over spirals in data versus trauma. And then we have the adversity, ADD plus VERSIT over adversity, AD negative VERSIT. We have to think that life is happening for me, not to me. Okay? We ask questions like, we say things like, feel blessed and thank God for the test, rather than cry and ask God why. We realize when we look at things as a point of view from adversity, ADD, as it's a no, so then we know, and then we go, and then we grow, rather than looking at things from the adversity standpoint, AD negative, no, sad, stop, you know? And it's important that while we're doing this and we're pivoting, we're having a pivot party, not a pity party, that we drink H2 no versus H2 no. Every day we drink H2 no, H2 KNOW, knowing that all these problems are happening for us, not to us, and that we're gonna find the win inside the sin once we take responsibility for our part in it and we look at ways to fix it. So that we, in a pivot party versus pity party, we can either think there's no way around it, or we know our way around it. Meaning we know all this shit's happening on purpose. You know, maybe we're responsible for it, maybe we're not. But either way, it's all part of the grander scheme. And in this chapter, I want to talk about how, which I talked about a little bit in the preface, is how I had to do a pivot party when the real estate market sucked and I took my eye off the prize. You know, I had pretty much 2 months left worth of payroll for the landscaping business. Real estate was in the shitter. You know, I started looking around for anything I could do. So I talked to everybody I could talk to. I utilized that Jersey Autism logo I made for my ex-girlfriend, which I no longer was going to do because we're no longer together. I wound up guest bartending to raise money for the Jersey Autism logo for a local autistic program, which turned into Cornhole for Cancer for a buddy of mine's kid, which turned into Monday Night Football, an opportunity to actually bartend and make money, which got me a little bit closer to getting out of that hell I was in. And then right when I was literally taking a drive down to Ocean Gate and I was at my wit's end, I got that call that night, which changed my life, which gave me Saturday night asked me if I wanted to work Saturday nights with my now to be sister-in-law Jess. But I knew it was either continue on the pity party or was pivot party. Now, did I want to go into bartending from being in real estate for 7 years, 8 years of being successful? No. But I took my ownership in the fact that it was my fault that I was there. I looked at ways to fix it. I executed instead of had excuses. I poured into being the bartender and being the realtor. That was bartending. I closed the distance and kept going. My self-esteem was more important than my self-esteem. I hated being a bartender and showing up. I had all kinds of issues being behind the bar, hated it. But I got out of my head and I stayed on track. And I started to realize that these were adversities, that it was happening for me, not to me. As my brother wound up getting engaged to Jess, I had relationships that were growing. Real estate was just coming to me over the bar. So I went from having no way around it to knowing my way around it. The win was actually in the sin. Me leaving my brand, moving out of the area, letting the landscaping company go to shit, having to actually crawl back. But every day, once I got the opportunity to have that bartending opportunity, the 2 nights where I could actually see that the payroll for the landscaping company was coming to an end in a month. I only had 3 months left on the BMW that was $900 a month payment. I could do the math. I used the data instead of drama. I did the math and realized, okay, well, I had 2 months of payroll and 2 months of this and living expenses. The payroll stops next month. I'm going to be able to create X amount of income with the bartending. I had 1 or 2 deals that were in the pipeline. So it was so important in my life to choose the pivot party when I got that text message asking if I wanted to work Saturday nights, which I knew I was going to have to work a lot of Saturday nights. I was going to have to repay the success tax in life that I didn't pay early on. And I could have chosen the pity party, which would be to end it, or pivot party, which was to send that text message back and say, yeah, I'm in. Let's make this work. Let's do this. And then put all this in place. To know my way around it. Pivot party versus pity party.